Combine. We have scrimmages starting in just a few minutes. A scrimmage that will feature that guy, one Bronny James. We're going to be talking a lot about him. The most controversial guy possibly on the court today. I don't know. A lot of questions when it comes to Bronny James. All right, so we have two teams. Current NBA assistant coaches are our head coaches for today. We have Ryan Forhan-Kelly of the Brooklyn Nets. He's going to be coaching one of our squads. And here is a look at the roster. On this side, Sean Farnham, who are you looking at when it comes to this matchup?
First of all, Ryan Forhan-Kelly was a great player at Cal, a really good basketball player as well. I'm looking at KJ Simpson, staying in the Pac-12, Colorado, very experienced player that was very efficient this year for Tad Boyle. I think that efficiency, as the year went on and I talked to scouts at games, they kept saying KJ Simpson could maybe play his way into the late end of the first round. His leadership and his want to at the defensive end of the floor, I think bodes really well for KJ Simpson.
All right, and he's going up against Team Patrick St. Andrews of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, when you look at this roster, there's one guy that we've already talked about plenty of times today, number 50. That is Bronny James. But when it comes to the rest of this roster, Corey, who are you looking at?
I'm going to look at the most productive college basketball player on here when you consider Antonio Reeves, who's from right here in Chicago, graduate of Simeon High School, played 3 years at Illinois State before finishing at Kentucky, where he was a leading scorer for a team that has a tremendous amount of lottery talent on it this year.
All right. Jump ball here in just a few seconds as we get ready for the scrimmage between Team St. Andrews and Team Forhan-Kelly. Here we go.
And we're playing ball. This is where they're going to put Bronny James. They want him in the point guard position. To your point, Bobby, how important is it for him to show the ability to be a leader and a facilitator in a setting like this?
Well, it's something that he hasn't been able, as you said, there was a small body of work, and I kind of compare it to what we saw of Andrew Nembhard a couple years ago, as far as really had a solid 2 days here and wound up getting drafted in the early part of the second round.
But one thing with that, Bobby, Andrew Nembhard was actually and Sean covers, of course, Gonzaga more than anyone. Andrew Nembhard was the primary ball handler while Jalen Suggs was off the ball for during the time that they were there together. So the question about Bronny coming in and being a point guard, there's one thing when it comes to a setting like this, and you all know it well, don't do what you can't do. Do what you do well.
Yeah, I think playing to your strengths is something you sometimes players get in their heads so much that they want to show and prove that they can do something, that they deviate from what they are actually great or what makes them special, and that hurts them, I think, in this process.
Absolutely. Uncle John once told me they don't know what you don't know unless you tell them. So when you consider that, if you don't show them what you can't do, they don't know that you can't do that.
Corey, I want to ask you, because we saw Mark Sears out here getting shots up and doing the drills by himself because he wasn't able to do it yesterday. Do you think he had an advantage that there weren't as many guys on the court at the same time?
Absolutely. And he also got that one-on-one work with, of course, NBA veteran Derek Fisher, who's directing the camp. And it is more so about not just the shots and the advantage, it's about the conversation that goes on, what they're looking for from you. So he has that opportunity to be able to have that conversation with D. Fish well before any of these other players are able to do that in a one-on-one setting.
What a year Cam Spencer had. He just gave up the ball at the top, obviously, for UConn. The transfer twice from Loyola Maryland to Rutgers, then to UConn, where he absolutely thrived this year. And I think one of the things that stood out most to me was the unselfishness and the ball movement that UConn had at the offensive end. But at the next level, he's a guy that's just a flat-out shooter.
He's a flat-out shooter, but like his brother, he's a guy that also, understands that he would have to take the long route as he watched him miss a couple in a row there. But he's that guy that knows that he would have to take a long route to get there. But Pat, his older brother, actually got a two-way this year with Golden State.
He is the X factor in this combine. Ulrich Kamche, NBA Afro Academy, did not start playing basketball until he was aged 13 years old, was found walking in the streets of Cameroon, lived in a village when he was younger here, and he's just scratching the surface here.
He's the youngest player eligible in this draft. Let me ask you this, Bobby, from an executive perspective. Like, when there's such limited film, there's not a lot of film on him. When you do watch, you see flashes of what you believe could be maybe potentially a down-the-road starter. underneath. But like when there isn't that great amount of film, how do front offices kind of break through all of that and try to figure out exactly who he is?
You know what? Yesterday helped. His mechanics shooting the ball were really strong, really fluid, and you really didn't get to see that from him. Still in the portal, was going to go to Kentucky, I believe. So this is going to help him here. And as I said, this is more upside. This is more kind of 2 years from now if you can develop that player.
He doesn't turn 19 until December 30th.
He's been on his own for about 6 years, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
So which means he made it by 2 days. You have to actually turn 19 within the calendar year in order to be draft eligible. So made it by 2 days there. A couple more days later, he would have to wait until next season.
He attacked Adem Bona right there. Of course, played at UCLA.
I'm a big fan of Bona.
Are you?
I absolutely am. I had one opportunity to get out into your neck of the woods this year. My guy Dave Pash and I called the Colorado UCLA game, and I saw Adem Bona, and Adem Bona, I believe he's a lot more mobile than many people give him credit for being. But one thing for certain, when you play for Mick Cronin, you have to understand how to play hard. He had stretches where he was really, just fantastic. But I think one of the reasons why many people are surprised that I'm a big fan is because he has so many stretches where he disappears also.
Well, and he fouls.
Well, again,
like the foul issue to me.
You get 6 in the NBA, though.
Right. Playing hard is one thing. Okay, but playing hard also means can you give the effort without fouling? And for Adem Bona, that was something that plagued him throughout the course of his college career. That and injuries. He had the shoulder injury that kept him out of the NCAA tournament a little bit over a year ago. But I think when you look at him, he's physically imposing. His body's ready for the NBA right now. Defensive philosophies, understanding the coverages, all those things that you were talking about with Mick Cronin, I think translates well for Adem Bona to maybe find a way. Maybe it's a two-way contract to begin with, but then find a way on a roster at some point.
Yeah, he mentioned to me when I talked